Ooh, we are very close today. It's because of my shelves. I started rearranging my book room and I had to take all the books off the shelves because of that. But the shelf that I actually need to fit in this room has been out of stock. Either way, I wanted to film this video. So hey everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today to finally bring you my Crescent City review. And it is going to be a spoiler-free review just in this first part. I will give ample warning before we get into the vlog footage, which definitely gets spoilery, and then we will have some spoiler thoughts at the end for any of you that stay tuned for that. I'm really excited to talk about this. I'm gonna try and keep this concise though, so let's dive in. I actually took notes. Can you believe that? I can't. So as far as my spoiler-free review of Crescent City, I feel like it's no surprise to tell you guys that I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adored it, but there's definitely things that maybe weren't perfect. The negatives are, this is a very slow start to the book, and it makes me really anxious whenever anyone's about to pick it up because I know that they're gonna have like a first 400-page struggle, and I know that that sounds like a ton of time to just not be doing anything, but I do think that it's worth it. It is an adult fantasy book, and I know that a lot of people have complaints in the fact that it still feels like her young adult books, but to be totally fair, her young adult books were pretty adult towards the end. But in general, adult fantasy novels do have a lot more world building to them. If I can tell you anything out of all of the adult fantasy books that I've read, is that there's even more world building in those than there are in this. I just feel like it might have been a little bit jarring for some people. I haven't given a summary of what this book is. I feel like if you're joining this, then you know what this book is about, but we are following Bryce in this story, and it has been a couple of years since a really big tragedy happened to her and her friends, and they thought that they had caught the person that was responsible for it, but we're finding out that maybe he wasn't the one to blame. So Bryce is kind of on a hunt for justice, and she joins up with Hunt, who's kind of assigned to her case. Hunt is a fallen angel of sorts, because in this world there are angels, which we'll get to that later. I really liked that aspect. And he's assigned to her case to help her with the investigation and see if they can catch who's truly responsible. And it goes from there. There is a lot more going on to this story, but as I was saying, there is a lot of world building in it, but I feel like the reason that a lot of people might have some difficulty with it is because it's a very modern world. I loved that about this book. I think that it's a really cool touch. I mean, why not? Fantasy books can be absolutely anything you want them to be, so why have they always been set in the past? Why do they always have horse-drawn carriages? I think that having it in a modern world, not a futuristic world, a modern world, was so much fun because we get to see how magic and technology would mesh together, which is kind of the topic for a lot of the story. We're kind of discovering how technology would be advanced further, how humans have been at a disadvantage to magic for so long, but they're trying to get their power back by also creating technology, by creating all these things that kind of even out the playing field. So I really enjoyed that about this story. It does take a while though, and I think that another thing that's pretty jarring about this is the huge cast of characters that were thrown at in the beginning. Never fear, honestly, if you're going into this and you're feeling like it's very slow, you're feeling like you can't absorb all these names, that's totally understandable. I felt the exact same way, but I know these names now. They are brought up a lot. The characters are constantly talked about. The names are constantly verified in your mind. You're always getting a lot of details to keep absorbing the character list, and I think that by the end it's really manageable. So this book is setting it up for a series. It's not really surprising that there's such a large cast of characters. It's not really surprising that we're getting so much knowledge on the magic system and so much knowledge on the world and the history. I feel like it made it a much more rich experience for me. It was a little bit tough to get through in the beginning, but I know that it's going to be so much more fun for the later books in the series. I think the magic system is really well done. There was a lot that Sarah J. Maas had to contend with. There are so many different races, so many different races, even more than her previous books. There are angels, there are fae, there are humans, there are witches, there are mer people, there is a lot. There are really cute little otters that send messages from the mer people. I didn't really feel like any of the things were underdeveloped. It felt very natural in this world. We're kind of in a Mod Podge world where a lot of different races got dumped together, and I think that Sarah J Maas did a really good job of describing the history, describing all of the prejudices, describing all of the magic without making it feel info dumpy. It took longer because it isn't info dumpy, but it was worth it in the end. So those are definitely my like negatives, my soft negatives. It's just hard to get into. There's a huge cast of things to remember and it's a little slow in the beginning. But besides that, I adored this book. It does have a little bit of Sarah J Maas's like formulaic process, which isn't really surprising to me. It's one of the reasons that I personally read her books still. I mean, I would always read her books whether they were formulaic or not, but I mean, it's something that I enjoy. I like having the really hunky dude that's kind of there to save the day, but like having the badass female lead that's like, I don't really need you to save the day. I love that. I love that it's pretty predictable that Hunt and Bryce are gonna be interested in each other. I think that their romance was done really well. It was really slow burn. Pretty hate to love. I mean, it isn't really hate to love if they don't know each other. It's indifferent to potential friendship, to annoyed that he has to be in her house, to friendship again, to oh shoot, maybe this wasn't friendship this whole time kind of situation. And I enjoyed that aspect. I will say that she did the thing. I mean, she didn't do the thing. That's the problem. So I will admit this is definitely still smutty, even though there wasn't necessarily any smut in the book. And if that's not something that you like about Sarah J Maas's books, there isn't as much in this one as her others because there's only like 1 or 2 scenes that are notable, but it's there. There's probably gonna be more in later books. Yeah, so we've talked about the romance, we've talked about the world building. Let's talk about the characters. Well, I've kind of already touched on this. I really feel like all the characters were well developed. Even the side characters were really well developed. I felt like I got to know their personalities. I felt like I got to know their motivations. I feel like you get to know what role they're gonna play in the story, but you also don't know. I think that she did a really good job of leading you to believe certain things about characters and then making you question those things along the way. And because of that, I will say the story stayed pretty unpredictable overall for me. I think that if I wasn't such a huge fan of Sarah J Maas, I wouldn't have gotten as close as I did with my theories. I had a lot of theories throughout the book, which you'll see if you stay tuned for the vlog part, and I was really pretty close with a lot of them, but it's because I know Sarah J Maas's work so well, and I was still pretty surprised at the end, and that's all you can really ask for. As for the ending, I think this is the strongest part of the book. It was everything. It took you through the ringer of emotions. It honestly felt like this book could have ended right there. Like that could have been a standalone novel and I would have been totally okay with it. I mean, minus the blue balling, you know? But I overall really loved it. It was just, it brought so many things together. I think that that's what Sarah J Maas does best, is giving you little details throughout her stories and then combining them all in the very end, and you didn't even know that that was what she was leading to. You didn't even think to note any of those important details until the very end when it becomes important. She's really, really good at that. She's great at pulling on the heartstrings. Yeah, she's great at endings, I guess, overall. Well, not always, but this ending, hands down, my absolute favorite. Now, for the reason that this one has definitely taken the cake for my favorite Sarah J Maas novel, I think that in this way I am going to be fairly biased because for me it doesn't have a lot to do with the story. It doesn't have a lot to do even with the plot. It has a lot to do with Bryce. And I mean Hunt as well, but specifically Bryce, our main character. I related to her a lot. She's going through it. She has always had a little bit of a tougher upbringing. She's always been not amazing, but at the start of this story, you just see her at such a like high point in her life that when tragedy strikes and everything kind of gets to be negative, it was heart-wrenching. You see her just deal with her emotions in the best way that she can. She doesn't want to go to therapy, which I think that therapy was a really cool thing that Sarah J Maas included in this book. Again, it's a more modern world, and I think that there was really good touches of modern world. But she doesn't want to see anyone for it. She thinks that she can pull through, but you see her go to some dark, dark places. You see her not really like herself as a person, and I just felt like her journey was really realistic. There were beautiful high days and there were really low days, and it was just so well done, so well done. I think that Sarah J Maas writes mental health very fluidly into her books. All of her main characters have had that kind of battle with themselves, and it's something that I just feel really strongly about, relate to a lot, and I think that that's always a reason that Sarah J Maas's books are going to be so high up for me. So I just really appreciate the way that she writes about mental health and the way that her characters go through it. You feel satisfied, kind of, in the end of her books. Like, you see all her characters get to pretty dark places, but the way that they go through their journey, you just feel vilified. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's the one I'm going to use. And that is the reason that this one has become my absolute favorite book. I just really, really loved Bryce's story. I think that hers was the most realistic, most easy to connect to out of all of them. She's a crazy, fun party girl that I don't want to say much more. I don't want to ruin anything for you. I already feel like I've said too much, but she goes through it. She goes through it, and you see her have unhealthy coping mechanisms. You see her have healthy coping mechanisms. You see her friends try to be there for her. You see some friends not try to be there for her, and you kind of get their input on it in the end. I didn't feel like I didn't understand where her friends were coming from. By the end, I understood their motives, and I think that that was really well done as well. Like I said, the side characters were well-rounded. I mean, for an 800-page book, I guess I'd hope they'd be, you know? I've already been talking for 14 minutes though for this spoiler-free review of the book. Let me just make sure, let me check my notes, make sure that everything's good. Oh, so the plot, very linear. That's all I'm gonna really say about that. It's a very linear plot, but the players change up a lot. Like I said, you just get a lot of different motivations from different characters, and I think that that was really well done. But overall, like, the overarching plot of it was super linear, and you can definitely see where the next book is going. I will say, like I said, as far as the twists go, it was predictable in a way for me because I've read so many of her books, but the way that she would get to the answers that I'd been suspecting was so satisfying. And that's kind of it. Okay, that's all I'm gonna talk about in this spoiler-free section. I hope you guys got something out of this. I don't normally do spoiler-free reviews, so if you enjoyed that, please let me know in the comments and let me know if there's anything that I need to work on for it, because I actually had a really good time kind of talking about it without talking about it. It felt mysterious. But we're gonna get into the vlog portion of this video. Stay tuned to after the vlog for a more spoilery review, but it's really gonna be a short one because we already kind of talked about it. If you read the book, you probably know what I'm talking about in most of the situations, and the vlog I feel like covers a lot. So yeah. But I still haven't decided if I'm going to vlog this experience yet, but I'm 40 pages into House of Earth and Blood. If I am gonna vlog, I feel like this is a good moment for me to start. Because in the summary, you know, it says that all of Bryce's friends are killed. The whole beginning though, like, that hasn't happened yet, and we're 40 pages in, and I really love her friends, and I'm really hoping it's not these friends, and if they are these friends, I'm really hoping that some of them survive. I've known them for 40 pages, exactly, and I love them. There's a lot of sexual tension between Bryce and this other character, and I am living for it, and they just had like this whole scene where he's like, are you ever gonna go out with me? And she has like a boyfriendish thing, so she's like, you need someone who's less fucked up than me, and like walks away. And like her best friend, she just said love you. I just feel like it's such a hit because there have been so many little like drops that I'm like, oh my god, no one's gonna live and I'm gonna cry in the very beginning of this book because I'm already attached. Her best friend said love you, and like there's this whole inner monologue where Bryce is like, oh, I really love it when she still says love you because she says it so sparingly, she never likes to use it, and Bryce in the beginning would always use it in their friendship, and Danica would get really upset by it because she just doesn't say love you, but Bryce always says that she said love you because you never know when you're saying goodbye for the last time. Which, by the way, that's actually something my parents did to me when I was really young. I guess my dad did it to my mom when they first got married because my mom was mad at him, and he was like, well, you have to say love you or goodbye because what if I die on the way to work? So, and then when I was little, I remember being in like elementary school and my mom was dropping me off and I was really mad at her for some reason, and she goes, you have to say I love you, you never know if I'm gonna die. And I was like, traumatized. But anyways, back to the story. I'm so nervous. I feel like everything's about to go down and I just don't want it to happen. I love them. I don't want anyone to die. I want you guys to know I'm on page 52 now. and I'm still anxious. Oh my goodness. It's just like everything is like going too well for a Sarah J Maas book, and I just know she's about to like rip my heart out with Bryce's red claws. But I have a new update because I am now currently hoping that the friends that she is currently with are gonna die instead of the friends that we met in the beginning. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Okay. Oh my God. No. Okay. No. Oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God. What are you doing?
You put your shoes on.
Right here?
Yeah. I had to get new socks.
Give me that.
I'm gonna use all 3 because you don't wake up before 3 p.m.
Adam, you were talking to me at a very intense part of this book, and I'm thinking about hurting you.
Bet.
Say bet one more time. If I found out Danica killed herself and the pack, I'm killing you. Don't touch my stuff! This is gonna make me feel better. Don't touch that's my love pen! Do you not want me to love anything else in the book? Gosh. Audacity.
Are you sad?
Yes.
Brittany.
Oh my God! Did you hear me say that or did you just guess?
Me?
Yeah!
Nothing to hear you say that. Why?
He said ripped in pieces. Did I
He
not?
said rip, rest in, like rip in pieces, like R.I.P. but in pieces.
That's even worse. They all died by being ripped into pieces.
Alright, what's this? Rusted and pepperoni.
He's strong.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Wow. Listen. I needed to take a break. The thing is I know I haven't been vlogging the entire time I've been reading Crescent City. I'm kind of debating on how I want to do this because I definitely have been texting Mika my whole thoughts, so I might just tell you all of them when this video comes together. I'm not sure. This is something we need to talk about because it doesn't make sense, okay? So like we have all this buildup, we have all these like really amazing moments, we have Hunt and Bryce like really connecting, we have her getting like the venom out of her leg. Finally, we just have like so much that happens. Hunt's wings get cut off. Rune is like there for Bryce and he's like, I wish that I could have been the one that beat up Amelie. And then she's like, why? And he's like, because I'm your brother. And like that's a big moment in and of itself. Then we kind of move on to this whole scene of Bryce accidentally finding Hunt as he is doing the synth drug deal. And he's like, no, I didn't want to do it anymore after I saw the footage. But like Micah's already there and taking them away. So I'm just like, the convenience? What the fuck? And then you just have like the whole part of Hunt revealing that he had theorized for a week that the synth was the reason for all this, that Danica was for whatever reason an addict and that she had taken the synth, she'd taken too much that night because her mother had pissed her off and she killed herself and the pack. Like, yes, it makes sense. Like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I understand that like the black dust inside of the synth can also bring over the crystallos and that's how like that came about. But like, Why would Danica leave all of these hints for Bryce to find? You're gonna tell me that Danica really thought like, oh hey, I'm becoming an addict, I should leave these hints for my best friend so that she knows if anything goes down. No. I don't think she was an addict because she obviously had seen all of these things happen, and like, I just don't think that she would be that stupid. She already had so much power on her own. I just don't get it, you know? I don't know. I still think there's something fishy going on. I think that maybe someone did take synth and destroy the entire pack and kill themselves. We don't know. I don't think it was Danica. Maybe my faith is misplaced because Danica has been doing some shady shit, but I feel like that's exactly what Sarah J Maas would want us to think, that we would have that moment of being like, well, she isn't the person we thought she was. Maybe she would do this. And I don't think that's true. I finally picked it back up after like a month of not reading, and it's just been like, just surprise after surprise after surprise, and right now Hunt just got taken away. Fury showed up out of nowhere. Fury was missing for 2 years, and suddenly now when Synth gets involved, she comes back. What are the chances, you know? I have like a slight theory that whoever was trying to sell the drug to Bryce that night, like involved in whatever went down with the pack, that they knew that Bryce was a crazy party animal, and that if they gave her Synth, that maybe she would lose it. I don't know. This is just rough. I'm having a rough time. I don't want to keep reading, but like I want to keep reading, you know? Wow, I feel drained now. There was just so much energy for the past few hours and I feel like dead. All right, bye-bye. So I think something huge is about to happen. I'm on page 676. I love that this vlog was literally only the very beginning of the book and the very end of the book. I think that this is how all my read-along vlogs should go. We are in the summit meeting right now, and Micah is at Bryce's place of work, which at first I kind of thought was suspicious, but I thought that maybe he was gonna be like on Hunt's side and be like, hey, we can get him out together. And then when I was rethinking it, I'm like, oh yeah, he had a crush on... Crush. That's a soft word for a very predatory habit that Micah had towards Bryce. But anyways, he was interested in Bryce. So then I thought it was gonna be kind of one of those like very icky situations where he's like, hey, yeah, I can totally get Hunt back if you like sleep with me. Now it's seeming even more suspicious. We just learned that the library that we've been in this entire time that's under Jessica's place of work is actually the Library of Parthos. So I think it's supposed to be like the Library of Alexandria because it has like all the ancient knowledge of the humans before the veneer started coming to their planet, and it got burned down by the veneer in an effort to like hide that knowledge from them. We just found out that like the books that did remain that the priestesses had gotten out are the books that are in that library. But I have this like sneaky suspicion that he's about to pull some really bad stuff, so I thought it'd be fun if I was filming for it. Let's do it. So my other thing is Jessica, they're saying that now like all of her motivations had to do with the library, which I think is really cool. But I have a theory because no archangel would be okay with that knowledge existing, and obviously Shahar is there watching the feed with everyone else in the summit. So my theory on how Hunt is gonna get out of this alive is that Jessica, well, everyone I guess at the summit is going to team up and kill Shahar, which I would be so okay with, like very, very, very okay with. Anyways, Hunt ground his teeth. Of course the books were more important to her than Bryce. I mean, books are pretty freaking important. Oh, see, this is what I'm saying. That's exactly the next thing that Sandriel says. She goes, Sandriel is Shahar, in case you guys forgot, because sometimes I get confused with the whole like two-name thing. But anyways, the Ox shall do no such thing, Sandriel said coldly. She smiled at Jessica as the female went rigid, and whatever Micah has in mind for your little assistant is going to look mild compared to what the Asteri do to you for harboring that lying rubbish. Sandriel's gonna die. Sandriel is going to die, and she freaking deserves it because Hunt is too precious. Oh shit. Oh fuck. It's about to happen. The only thing I got spoiled for in Crescent City was when I was watching Sarah J Maas's live show. I was reading in the comments, and that was that Lahaba dies. A few pages ago, I actually tabbed it because Sarah J Maas, like, she just does this to us. Like, she did this with Hunt right before he, like, got ruined. And right here, Lahaba is with Bryce, and they have, like, a moment, and she's like, you're just a great friend to me, Lily. Lahaba goes, you, me, and Sairi, together we'll get through this. And Bryce says, deal. So I was like, oh shoot, it's gonna happen soon if Lahaba really does die. And right here, Bryce is trying to motion to Syrinx and Lahaba to get out, to like go to the stairs, and neither of them move. So I think this part would have been way more intense if I hadn't been spoiled for that. What? Bryce is so sassy. She goes, I have no idea where the horn is, because what the fuck? I mean, she doesn't. And he goes, try again. She goes, I have no idea where the horn is, Governor? I knew it. Well, I don't know if I knew it yet or not, but I've had this theory that like Bryce's tattoo does not just say like through love all is possible. Like potentially it does, but my theory was that somehow the horn was in the tattoo. But like I dismissed it because like how the hell would that even work? You know what I mean? But I guess we're about to find out. We're about to find out. And like the way I got to that is Micah's being very creepy and like running his finger up and down Bryce's spine right now. It's uncomfortable. I fucking knew it! Because the crystal's demons kept going towards her, and so like she had to have some part of the horn in her, and my theory was that she just has a lot of the starlight inside of her, or was it starlight or moonlight, whatever, one of those, and like that's what keeps bringing the crystallos demon to her, ground down into fine powder mixed with witch ink and tattooed. So she is the horn. Oh shoot. Blow me. I knew Micah was behind it. I knew Danica wouldn't do that. Wait, I need to find when like, okay, we'll talk about it later. But I totally told Mika at one point that my theory was that Micah was behind it. Oh, so I mean it's still definitely Micah's fault, but he injected her with the synth that made her rip apart the pack of devils and herself. I just remembered that in the beginning Danica was like touching Bryce's amulet, and she told her if she ever leaves Jessica for whatever reason she has to find a way to keep it on. And it wasn't just to protect Bryce, it was to cloak the horn. Oh no. Syrinx is not gonna die. I just... Oh god, I can't do it. Sarah Mouse wouldn't kill an animal. Like, okay. Okay, so she's in the tank, but like everyone's so worried that she's gonna die, but she has synth in her blood. Like, didn't we see humans with synth that just ripped apart veneer? She's gonna rip apart this knock. Like she's gonna rip him apart. We just have to keep her from ripping herself apart, you know? She just... Yay! All the mail splinched. Syrinx is okay. Oh no, this is gonna be how Lahaba dies. She's gonna get the God Killer. I feel like I can't like turn you off for the last bit of the book. Like I feel like I should though. It's been 21 minutes. I don't know what to do. Lahaba's last stand. When everyone in the Senate meeting stood up and put their hands over their hearts. Let's keep going. Knocked back a potion, and they're like, who knows what she would keep in there? She kept the antidote to sin! It was in there! Because I remember, because she was like, oh, it's so funny to have life and death right next to each other. She just drank the potion for synth. She's not gonna go all crazy. I'm so excited. Holy... Vacuumed up his ashes. She said, hold up, gotta clean up a little bit. Sandrill's gonna have to die. Like, there's no other option right now, right? Okay. As long as we're in agreement. Okay, I think I'm gonna turn you off right now just because that was a lot for us to like talk about. I'll talk to you, I guess, when this book is done because I'm close. I know I said we were done, but then I read that there was screaming and that there were far bigger problems than the horn on her flesh. So we're gonna keep reading together just in case. I knew it! Wait, I don't know it yet, but ever since they had the appointment to pull the venom out of Bryce's leg, I was theorizing that the Med Witch would actually remove Hunt's crown from his head because she goes, what would you do if I did? You know? And her voice was just, she looked ready, you know? She looked ready to release him from his bindings without permission. And then we found out she was Queen Hypaxia, and I was like, okay, she's gonna do it. I don't know when, don't know how. She just sat down next to Hunt and unlocked his manacles, so let's see what happens. Oh no. Micah had wielded the horn successfully. It opened up a portal in the Heart Gate. Straight to hell. But like, Bryce is friends with one of the princes of hell, so I wonder... That's why the ox never got to her. They were dealing with the demons. Okay, I am gonna shut you off now. We'll talk after. You don't need all my constant updates. Wait, I just had a revelation. I was like freaking out. I was freaking out because Bryce, she just... I need to slow down. Okay. I was freaking out because Bryce was running to the like, old gate and she just called Hunt and she's giving all of her like final goodbyes. I was getting confused because like she had this idea, you know, and I'm like, your idea was to die in front of the gate? Like that's not an idea. And then with like her little part right here, she said, tell Rune I forgive him long ago. I just didn't know how to tell him I'm sorry I hid the truth and that I only did it because I love him and didn't want to take anything away from him. So onto my theory. I have been theorizing since like maybe page 50 that Bryce is Starborn, and it just keeps getting like reaffirmed because like that night with Danica where they weren't supposed to escape and she tells Danica to close her eyes and somehow everyone else dies, you know what I mean? And then also when she went to the Oracle and the Oracle was blinded, like it's because her future is being Starborn. So I think that somehow she's about to like go full supernova, and that's why like she's like, tell Rune I'm sorry, I didn't want to take anything from him, because he's Starborn, but he had like such a trickling of Starborn power it didn't even count. Faint white radiance began to glow around her. Heir to the Starborn. Okay. I'm being so dramatic, but I'm like so excited. Oh my god, and they're finally doing the cutscene of when she and Danica... I'm so sorry, I'm being very annoying. Okay. And that's why Danica, you know, oh my god, oh my battery's gonna die and I didn't charge the other one. Oh no. Oh shoot. Where's my charger and where's the battery? Ah, shoot. Okay. Wonder-in-law. I knew it. When Hunt kissed her and he saw a glow in her eyes, I was like, that has to be the starlight. This is gonna be a short update because I'm sure I'm gonna wrap everything up a lot better when I do my actual video. But I just want to let you know, you gotta look a little cute first, you know? Can't look like a total wreck. Well, that's how I feel. She's done. This is my new favorite book. I knew when I picked it up that it was probably gonna hold a really special place in my heart because I've never related more to one of her characters. Like Bryce felt like an extension of myself in a lot of aspects, and I just knew that that was gonna have an effect on how I view this book. But like everything was just so good. I didn't cry because I'm strong, but I did this a lot where I like teared up and had to stop for a while. But it's just, it's so good. I know that you guys are like, Brittany, you're a Sarah J Maas stan, of course you think it's good, but like, no, this book literally just called out to my soul. It was, oh no, I think I'm in a reading slump. Cause like there's never gonna be a book as good as this one. I don't want to reread it either yet. Like, I just want to like absorb and just keep thinking about it. Like, that's all I want to do. Shoot, I'm gonna be in a Sarah J Maas like spiral now. Okay. This is the end of my vlog. Again, I am sorry that it was just the first part of the book and then the entire ending. I hope that it was still kind of fun. I love this book. Okay, lots of updates because I finally kept reading tonight. I knew the pack was gonna die and I'm so effing emo over it. Connor and Bryce would have been perfect. We didn't even get one sex scene with them, the injustice. Also still currently a wreck over Bryce hearing Danica's death. Also, I am all here for Hunt and Bryce because she needs someone after this. Also, I feel like it's not that subtle that the Autumn King must for sure be her dad. Like, Rune just ran into the interrogation room, was like, blah, she's my cousin, blah, but like, I've been convinced since the moment Bryce talked about what happened to her mom and the Autumn King has to be her dad. And I can't remember if they've already said her half-brother's name, but I still think it's Rune. Also, I effing love this book. I'm currently 500% sure of my theory that Bryce somehow has a ton of starlight power ever since Rune and his dad got into it and Rune used his single drop of starlight and the king was all, people used to blind their enemies with that power and look at you, I've been pretty sure, but right now he's all hallucinating because of the mirth root and Bryce is in his place and he just keeps seeing starlight and he said his sword is like singing for her. Convinced. Anyways, time for me to tell you some of my theories on House of Birth and Blood. I still stand with the fact that Sabine is somehow involved with the murders, like at least of her daughter, because she was mad jealous of her and wanted the sword that should have been hers, and I also think the sword is still in Bryce's possession since it had been left at the gallery that night. I think Bryce has starlight magic because even though they said she barely had any magic, the quote to heal the horn was magic that is not magic, so maybe starlight magic doesn't really show up on Tess, and that's why people around her keep dying, because maybe the humans want to get Bryce in their side to use the horn. I think maybe Danica got involved in the thieving on the horn because she'd been stationed there that night, and she also would have known about Bryce's powers because that night they were in the accident when Bryce was like, close your eyes, and somehow they escape. I think she used her starlight to blind their captors, and that's all I can say for now, but I'm only on page 300, so give me a little longer and I'll probably have more theories. Okay, new theory, what if Micah and Sabine teamed up? Like, Sabine wanted her daughter dead and Micah wanted the horn back, so somehow they got together to summon the demon that killed the pack, and the reason that Micah was so close and was attacked by the monster was because he was waiting to see if he could discover the horn, or he had been in contact with it, so the monster automatically started eating him too? I feel like Micah is involved, because literally no one is questioning why the monster that's sole mission is to hunt down the horn would attack the Archangel. Ooh, or Micah has the horn and that's why he wants the monster dead, so he doesn't have to worry about potentially dying, and that's also why he wants to date Bryce, because somehow Homeboy knows she has the Starborn powers. Okay, obviously I stand Hunt and Bryce and Syrinx and Lahaba. I feel like Fury is staying away from Bryce because she knows stuff that's going on and doesn't want Bryce in danger. Juniper I like, but also seems suspicious. I always think people that are nice are suspicious. Hate Autumn King. Low-key love Rune. The Victoria Lady seems suspicious. Isaiah I love. We have to stand the only gay character so far. Mike is a piece of shit, but also I wish Bryce had taken him up on the date offer because I would love to have seen the moment Hunt realized she'd slept with him. I just know it would have been amazing, and all of Rune's friends are great. Oh, and Jessica I low-key think is actually not going to be the bad guy because I feel like she kind of has a soft spot for Bryce and it would just be too obvious if she's the big bad, and the Serpent Queen is creepy, but we also kind of stand. I love badass bitch bosses. Oh, did I tell you my theory that Bryce's mom is descended from the Starborn people? Because the Starborn family all had jet black hair, and one of the daughters was like lost or something, so I feel like Bryce's mom is a super distant granddaughter or something, and that's also how I think Bryce has such strong Starborn powers, because the Autumn King unknowingly bred with someone who was a teensy bit fae. Okay, I just found a flaw in my theories because Bryce's leg was literally cut open on the night of the attack and the monster didn't even look at her, but like if all it wants is Starborn blood, then why wouldn't it have looked at her? I still think she had it, but now I need a new theory on why the monster didn't want her. Okay, so that vlog was a mess, I know, because I vlogged for the very beginning of the book and the very end of the book, and then I spliced in some of me talking of the theories that I had been spewing to Mika. I feel like there's a lot that was already said though. That's why I'm gonna keep this last part pretty brief. I just kind of want to talk about the very end because I feel like that was the part that got maybe the least footage for. I will say that as far as like theories go, I kind of mentioned this in my spoiler-free part, but I did pretty good at theorizing what I thought was going to happen, but I think it's because I've read so many of Sarah J Maas's books that I can start to pinpoint her foreshadowing from the way that I annotate. But did I go through it? I went through it. My heart was torn open after the first 100 pages. It was so sad. I could not believe that the pack had died. It felt so unfinished that when in the end it was all brought back to Danica when Bryce made her drop. It was such an intense scene because we don't really understand how Danica can be on the other end of the line. We don't understand how this hasn't been done before, you know? And then we're already not understanding how she's been dropping so far past her power level. And I thought that it was such a beautiful touch that the drops of every person's magic that had ever touched that stone was going into Bryce. I mean, I'm curious how that's gonna play out later on. Like, does she have a little bit of every single magic, or is her own magic just gonna be intensified? I'm curious. But she didn't need it. She didn't need it at all. All she needed was her Starborn magic. And I thought that as much as I knew it from the very start, I knew it from the start, just so beautifully done. Just the way that she like released it, the way that Rune did not even think about being jealous about her, the way that her father, the Autumn King, hate him, was just so envious the entire time. It was a lot. There was a lot going on. So when we hear Danica's voice over the line, and like Bryce has felt so unfinished the entire time. I'm getting emotional talking about it, but it's just such a painful experience to see her go through, because I think that whenever anyone experiences a tragedy or loses someone or just in general messes up in their life, we all have a tendency of blaming ourselves, feeling like, well, if I had just done this one thing differently, everything would be different. And that's not really the case. Like, first of all, it doesn't do to dwell on what you could have done because you can't go back and redo it, but it also just hurts you. Like, you could see that in how Bryce was as a person. She didn't want to have fun anymore. She barely wanted to live, and it was only really to discover who had killed the pack. And I think that that was just a really heart-wrenching part of the story. She never got to text Danica. She never got to text back Connor, and she never got to go on that date with him. She felt so disgusting for having one last night of fun when no one would have judged her for it. Connor wouldn't have judged her for it. Danica definitely wasn't judging her for it. Like, you see a lot of mirroring in the way that Bryce dealt with the situation and Danica dealt with the situation, because obviously Danica didn't feel that she was worth forgiveness. She felt like she could not possibly be in the Bone Quarter because she's the one that killed her own pack. And Bryce was doing the same thing. She felt worthless, and she felt like until it was solved, she was never gonna be absolved. And even then, like, you know that she wasn't really absolving herself after she found out the whole plot behind it. And Danica as well. And I think that them having that moment together, Danica helping her through the drop like they were supposed to do together, like that was so good for her. And don't get me started on Bryce seeing the whole pack in the Bone Quarter. I literally have chills. I am like close to tears. It's just, she needed that closure. She needed to know that the pack understood, that the pack never was gonna judge her for it, that they were always gonna be behind her, and that she deserved to be happy, because that was like the big thing, was like Danica and Bryce loved to punish themselves. Danica using the last bit of her life force. Oh my god, I don't even know how to process that. That was just a lot. Like, Danica being the boost that rocketed Bryce, that first crucial bit, because everyone thought that Bryce was never gonna make it back up. First of all, she didn't have an actual lifeline, an actual anchor, and she'd gone way past her power level. Like, she wasn't gonna get back up. Danica knew that the only way that she was ever gonna feel right was by boosting Bryce out using the last bit of her life force. And I'm kind of curious now, because her soul's not in the Bone Quarter, Bryce gave up her position in the Bone Quarter. Where are they gonna meet up? Because now they're gonna be together wherever they are. I'm glad that Connor's brother finally forgave Bryce, because him being an absolute jackass to her, I understand where he was coming from because it was a place of really deep hurt, but I hated that. I hated that so much. So in the end, when they were both just fighting each other to get to the shelter, because she's trying to push him in, he's trying to push her in, and like they're both just trying to fight off everything around them, and like they've forgiven each other so wholly. But I just feel like Bryce got all the redemption that she deserved. I loved that the new leader of that pack also didn't turn out to be a raging bitch. She was such an awful person the entire freaking time, and having her be one of the packs that responds to Bryce's SOS even when the pack leader is saying no, I loved it. It was a great freaking ending. It was intense. I don't know how Sarah J Maas can one-up this book. I really don't. I think that it's interesting now that one of like the supreme angel beings, that he now has like Bryce on his speed dial, and he's like, stay in line, I gave you your perfect life, so just stay in line. You know that there's gonna be some kind of like butting heads there. I am so excited to finally see Hunt and Bryce get together, if you know what I mean. I loved it coming full circle when she had to make the Godslayer like it was a gun, and she had to like put it all together. I was like, how are you doing this? And then I remembered that her stepfather was, you know, one of the best marksmiths ever to exist. I loved seeing the dude bros that Rune is friends with. It was realistic. I loved the modern world setting. I loved it. I think that Sarah J Maas really added a lot to her normal formulaic stories by making it a modern world. It was everything. It was everything. I had a great time. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Let me know what your favorites were. If you're gonna leave anything spoilery, please put a spoiler alert before your comment. I don't want anyone to be spoiled. But that's gonna be, I think, all I talk about. Oh, in general, I just want to say the magic system rocks. Love the idea of the drop. I don't know where she got that idea from, but I love it. That's gonna be it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was well worth the wait, and I will see you in my next one. Light it up, bitches.